6:51, time for the morning sprint.
Team coverage of the first accumulating snow of the season coming on Halloween. Let's start with Kelly's first warn forecast. Kelly.
Yeah, we still have a few flurries here in the Madison area, but the moderate snows that we had about 45 minutes to an hour ago is now moved on to the east toward Watertown, headed toward Jefferson. A little bit of drying here, but still some flurries. See a little bit drier off to the north and west, but there are still some scattered snow showers expected to roll on throughout the morning hours. Things should wind down a little bit later on this afternoon. We'll have that first warn forecast coming up.
And we're on the live drive this morning. I'm Josh Ryder on the Beltline, just going over Verona Drive westbound right now as we're giving you a look at what we're seeing out here. I'll flip the camera around. Again, not seeing any major impacts out here so far this morning, just a few flurries out here right now. And we haven't seen any major issues as far as traffic going. We are moving at the posted speeds and no backups or delays. Roads primarily just wet. Do keep in mind, though, some of those bridges and overpasses might be a little slippery, though crews were busy pre-treating that overnight. We'll have more live drive updates throughout CBS Mornings this morning. On the live drive, I'm Josh Ryder.
We are keeping an eye on a crash on the far east side. This is along westbound I-94, about 3 miles past the Ramford County Road N. The left 2 lanes are blocked. Just 1 lane open right now, and you can see traffic's moving pretty slow. Crews have been there for about an hour or so. We're going to bring you updates throughout the morning on News 3 Now.
The Madison Streets Division planning on doing whatever it takes to handle the snow today. They're prepared to handle anything that comes their way. Probably just an inch for this particular storm. You're looking at much worse Halloweens in years past. This one particularly, that was 2019. Hey, to make things easier on crews today, they ask that you help out by making sure your trash cans are off the street in case they need to plow, so there's plenty of space.
Madison Metro Transit says it's treating bed bugs on 2 of its buses in shop and 1 of its facilities. MMT says they don't see the issue as widespread, though. So far, no passengers have reported seeing any bed bugs. They say the bed bugs have been spotted in the driver's rest area and 2 buses that were in the shop.
Today, a former Rock County deputy who pleaded guilty to multiple child sex crimes will be sentenced. Gary Huber originally pleaded not guilty to the 10 charges he faced back in 2022. He changed his plea to guilty for 4 of those charges. He's accused of sexually assaulting multiple children between 2010 and 2016 before he was hired as a Rock County deputy later that year.
Governor Evers is joining a lawsuit seeking to throw out the state's legislative maps. In a short statement, the governor said not one more election should be held under the current maps. A group of voters brought the suit earlier this year. Democrats say the current legislative maps are unfair and benefit Republicans.
The final holdout in the auto workers' strike may finally have a deal. General Motors and the United Auto Workers say they have reached a tentative agreement. It comes after more than 6 weeks of strikes and just days after the union expanded its strike against GM. The other 2 big automakers had already come to a deal.
President Biden is rolling out an executive order on artificial intelligence. The order requires AI developers to share results of their safety tests with the federal government. It also establishes standards to protect against risks of using AI to make dangerous biological materials.
New information on the suspect in 2 deadly mass shootings in Maine. ABC News reports the U.S. Army was told the reservist should not have access to any Army-issued weapon. He went on to kill 18 people in 2 separate shootings last week. We're also learning the suspect's family asked local law enforcement to check in on him, given his access to his own guns and deteriorating mental health.
An Israeli soldier is back with her family this morning after IDF troops rescued her in Gaza. Hamas militants kidnapped Ori Megiddish during their deadly rampage back on October 7th. This as Israel has declared a 23-year-old German-Israeli woman taken hostage was found dead on October 30th. Right now, more than 200 people, including Americans, remain captive.
The UN says Gaza is on the verge of catastrophe. 13 more people are dead this morning, killed by an Israeli airstrike in central Gaza overnight. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected calls for a ceasefire, saying it would only help Hamas gain steam. U.S. officials say Israel's expanded ground operation is not helping to retrieve the hostages.
Good morning. 5 minutes away from 7 o'clock. We had a little dusting of snow move through the Madison area over the last hour or so. That's moving on to the east toward Watertown, down toward Jefferson. Just a few flakes of snow here in the Madison area. Still expecting a few snow showers yet for the rest of the morning. Not really expecting a whole lot of additional accumulation. But it's cold out there. 30 right now in Madison. The winds will be picking up out of the northwest a little bit later on. And we are looking at some scattered snow showers diminishing as we get toward the early afternoon hours, and actually some clearing later today. only in the upper 30s, but it's going to feel like the 20s when you factor in the wind chill, the winds out there today. Looking at some clearing later this afternoon after the snow flurries. Much better weather toward the end of the week with 40s to around 50.
Continuing coverage of this alert day and your traffic impacts coming up in half an hour.